Hello, this is Vijay Sambasivam, and in this video, we are going to talk about a guide to the business analysis body of knowledge, commonly referred as the BABOK. A guide to the business analysis body of knowledge has been published by the International Institute of Business Analysis, also called as IIBA. In this video, I'm going to give an overview of the BABOK guide, talk a little bit about the importance of the BABOK guide, the purpose, the content structure, and also give an overview of the 6 knowledge areas that the BABOK revolves around. A guide to the business analysis body of knowledge, version 3, was made available to the business analysis community for review in 2014. The primary purpose of the BABOK guide is to define the profession of business analysis and provide a set of commonly accepted practices. The BABOK guide helps practitioners to discuss and define the skills necessary to effectively perform business analysis related work. The BABOK guide also helps people who work with and employ business analysts to understand the skills and knowledge they should expect from a skilled practitioner. Business analysis is a broad profession in which business analysts might perform work for many different types of initiatives across an enterprise. Not all business analysts do the same set of activities. A business analyst working for Department A in an organization might not have the same roles and responsibilities as another business analyst working in Department B within the same organization. Business analyst practitioners may employ different competencies, knowledge, skills, terminology, and attitudes that they use when performing business analysis tasks. The BABOK guide is a common framework for all perspectives describing business analysis tasks that are performed to properly analyze a change or evaluate the necessity for a change. Tasks may vary in form, order, or importance for individual business analysts or for various initiatives. All IIBA members get a free copy of the latest IIBA BABOK version. If you are not a member, you can still purchase a copy of the BABOK on the IIBA website. The BABOK guide mainly revolves around the 6 business analysis knowledge areas. The 6 knowledge areas of the BABOK guide are business analysis planning and monitoring, elicitation and collaboration, requirements lifecycle management, strategy analysis, requirements analysis and design definition, and solution evaluation. These 6 knowledge areas describe the practice of business analysis as it is applied within the boundaries of a project or throughout the enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. I'll repeat that again. These 6 knowledge areas describe the practice of business analysis as it is applied within the boundaries of a project or throughout enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. Apart from the 6 knowledge areas, the BABOK guide also talks about the business analysis key concepts, the underlying competencies, techniques, and perspectives. Let's take a quick look at all the 6 business analysis knowledge areas according to the BABOK. The first knowledge area we are going to talk about is business analysis planning and monitoring. Business analysis planning and monitoring describes the tasks that business analysts perform to organize and coordinate the efforts of business analysts and stakeholders. These tasks produce outputs that are used as key inputs and guidelines for the other tasks throughout the BABOK guide. At a high level, business analysis planning and monitoring is about the business analyst planning his future tasks. The next knowledge area is elicitation and collaboration. Elicitation and collaboration describes the tasks that business analysts perform to prepare for and conduct elicitation activities and confirm the results obtained. It also describes the communication with stakeholders once the information is assembled and also talks about the ongoing collaboration with them throughout the business analyst activities. You can remember this knowledge area as the requirements gathering knowledge area. The next knowledge area is requirements lifecycle management. Requirements lifecycle management describes the tasks that business analysts perform in order to manage and maintain requirements and design information from inception to retirement. These tasks describe establishing meaningful relationships between related requirements and design, and assessing, analyzing, and gaining consensus on proposed changes to requirements and design. The requirements lifecycle management basically talks about the various stages of requirements. The next knowledge area is strategy analysis. Strategy analysis describes the business analysis work that must be performed to collaborate with stakeholders in order to identify a need of strategic or tactical importance, enable the enterprise to address that need, and align the resulting strategy for the change with higher and lower level strategies. Most of the time, projects are executed to satisfy certain strategic objectives of the organization. This knowledge area talks about how that strategy is executed within a project or within an enterprise. The next knowledge area is requirements analysis and design definition. Requirements analysis and design definition describes the tasks that business analysts perform to structure and organize requirements discovered during elicitation activities, specify and model requirements and designs, validate and verify information, identify solution options that meet business needs, and estimate the potential value that could be realized for each solution option. This knowledge area covers the incremental and iterative activities ranging from the initial concept and exploration of the need through the transformation of those needs into a particular recommended solution. The next knowledge area is solution evaluation. Solution evaluation describes the tasks that business analysts perform to assess the performance and value delivered by a solution in use by the enterprise and to recommend removal of barriers or constraints that prevent the full realization of the value. That's a quick overview of the six knowledge areas. I had already mentioned how the business analysis body of knowledge guide revolves around the six business analysis knowledge areas. And in addition to that, there are key concepts, underlying competencies, techniques, and perspectives. I'm going to now explain how these underlying competencies, techniques, and perspectives are explained within the BABOK guide and how they connect with each other. Before that, let's understand what tasks are. A task is a discrete piece of work that may be performed formally or informally as part of business analysis. The BABOK guide defines a list of business analysis tasks. The definition of a given task is universally applicable to business analysis efforts independent of the initiative type. A business analyst may perform other activities as assigned by their organization, but these additional activities are not considered to be part of the business analysis profession. Tasks are grouped into knowledge areas. Business analysts perform tasks from all knowledge areas sequentially, iteratively, or simultaneously. The BABOK guide does not prescribe a process or an order in which tasks are performed. They can be performed in any order as long as the necessary inputs to a task are present. Each task in the BABOK guide is presented in the following format. Every task would have a purpose, description, inputs, elements, guidelines, techniques, stakeholders, and outputs. Before I go ahead and explain all these 8 terms, I would like to show an example of a task explained in the BABOK guide. What you're seeing on the screen now is the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge Guide. And right now, we are in Chapter 3. We are looking at the Business Analysis Planning and Monitoring knowledge area. Every knowledge areas have tasks. In this particular case, the Business Analysis Planning and Monitoring knowledge area has 5 tasks: the Plan Business Analysis Approach, Plan Stakeholder Engagement, Plan Business Analysis Governance, Plan Business Analysis Information Management, and Identify Business Analysis Performance Improvements. As we discussed, every knowledge area has tasks, and when you deep dive into a particular task, you would notice that every task is explained with a purpose, a description, inputs, elements, guidelines and tools, techniques, stakeholders, and outputs. Every task has a input-output diagram, just like the one you're seeing in the screen now, to explain how information flows. What goes as an input into every single task? What are the guidelines and tools? What are the outputs? And we are also able to understand how the output from each task goes as an input to different other tasks. I believe that this helps you understand the structure of how every task is explained in the BABOK guide. With that, let's get back to our original presentation. So now you know that every task in the BABOK guide is presented in the format of a purpose, description, input, elements, guidelines and tools, techniques, stakeholders, and outputs. The purpose section provides a short description of the reason for a business analyst to perform that particular task and the value created through performing that task. The description section explains in greater detail what the task is, why it is performed, and what it should accomplish. The input section lists the inputs for the tasks. Inputs are information consumed or transformed to produce an output and represent the information necessary for a task to begin. They may be explicitly generated outside the scope of business analysis or generated by a business analysis task. Inputs that are generated outside of the business analysis efforts are identified with the qualifier in the input list. There is no assumption that the presence of an input means that the associated deliverable is complete or in its final state. The input only needs to be sufficiently complete to allow successive work to begin. Any number of instances of an input may exist during the life cycle of an initiative. The input section includes a visual representation of the inputs and outputs, the other tasks that use the outputs, as well as the guidelines and tools listed in the task. The elements section describes the key concepts that are needed to understand how to perform the task. Elements are not mandatory as part of performing a task, and their usage might depend on the business analysis approach. The Guidelines and Tools section lists resources that are required to transform the input into an output. A guideline provides instructions or descriptions on why or how to undertake a task. A tool is something used to undertake a task. Guidelines and tools can include outputs of other tasks. The Techniques section lists the techniques that can be used to perform the business analysis task. The Stakeholders section is composed of a generic list of stakeholders who are likely to participate in performing that task or who will be affected by it. The BABOK guide does not mandate that these roles be filled for any given initiative. The Output section describes the results produced by performing the task. Outputs are created, transformed, or changed in state as a result of the successful completion of a task. An output may be a deliverable or be a part of a larger deliverable. The form of an output is dependent on the type of the initiative underway, standards adopted by the organization, and best judgment of the business analyst as to an appropriate way to address the information needs of key stakeholders. As with inputs, An instance of a task may be completed without an output being in its final state. Tasks that use a specific output do not necessarily have to wait for its completion for work within the task to begin. I repeat that tasks that use a specific output do not necessarily have to wait for its completion for work within the task to begin. That explains the business analysis knowledge areas and how tasks are explained within the BABOK guide. Now, let's talk about underlying competencies and how they are explained within the BABOK. The underlying competencies is explained in Chapter 9 of the BABOK Guide. The underlying competencies chapter provides a description of the behaviors, characteristics, knowledge, and personal qualities that support the practice of business analysis. The underlying competencies described are not unique to business analysis. They are described to ensure readers are aware of the range of fundamental skills required and provide a basis for them to further investigate the skills and knowledge that will enable them to be accomplished and adaptable business analysts. All the 6 underlying competencies explained in the BABOK have the following structure. They are explained using a purpose, a description, and effectiveness measures. The purpose section describes what the competency is used for and the circumstances under which it is most likely to be applicable. The description section describes what the competency is and how it is used. The effectiveness measures section describes how to determine whether a person is demonstrating skills in this underlying competency. What you're seeing on the screen is the BABOK Guide version 3, and we are at chapter 9 that describes the underlying competencies. The 6 underlying competencies are analytical thinking and problem solving, behavioral characteristics, business knowledge, communication skills, interaction skills, tools and technology. I already mentioned that these are not specific or unique to business analysis, but general competencies which are good to have for a business analyst to perform well. Let's deep dive into our first underlying competency, which is analytical thinking and problem solving. If you look at it, analytical thinking and problem solving is further divided into creative thinking, decision making, learning, problem solving, systems thinking, conceptual thinking, and visual thinking. Creative thinking is explained using a purpose, a definition, and an effectiveness measure. Just like creative thinking, each and every underlying competency is described using a purpose, definition, and effectiveness measures. Now that we have a good understanding of how underlying competencies is explained within the BABOK Guide, let's talk about techniques. Chapter 10 of the BABOK Guide explains the various business analysis techniques. Techniques are methods business analysts use to perform business analysis tasks. The techniques described in the BABOK Guide are intended to cover the most common and widespread techniques practiced within the business analysis community. Business analysts apply their experience and judgment in determining which techniques are appropriate to a given situation and how to apply each technique. This may also include techniques that are not described in the BABOK Guide. As the practice of business analysis evolves, techniques could be added, changed, or removed from the future iterations of the BABOK Guide. All the 50 techniques explained in the version 3 of the BABOK Guide have the following structure. It has a purpose, a description, elements, and usage considerations. The purpose section describes what the technique is used for and the circumstance under which it is most likely to be applicable. The description section describes what the technique is and how it is used. The elements section describes key concepts that are needed to understand how to use the technique. The usage considerations section describes the conditions under which the technique may be more or less effective. That was a quick overview on how the business analysis techniques are explained in the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge Guide. Chapter 11 talks about the business analysis perspectives. Perspectives are used within business analysis work to provide focus to tasks and techniques specific to the context of the initiative. Most initiatives are likely to engage one or more perspectives. The perspectives included in the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge Guide are the Agile perspective, the Business Intelligence perspective, the IT perspective, the Business Architecture perspective, and the Business Process Management perspective. These perspectives do not presume to represent all the possible perspectives from which business analysis is practiced. The perspectives discussed in the BABOK Guide represent some of the common views of business analysis at the time of writing. Any given initiative includes one, many, or all of the above mentioned perspectives. For example, an initiative may have a technology component. The technology component may mean business process changes. The initiative may decide to do part or all of the work with an agile approach. Another initiative may merge two organizations and need to look at the business capabilities and how the transformation impacts those capabilities. And the business leaders need updated information for decision making and analysis. So, large or complex initiatives will likely employ all perspectives if required. While the business analysis tasks detailed in the BABOK Guide are intended to be applicable across all areas of business analysis, they are also pertinent to each specific business analysis perspective. Perspectives provide ways to approach business analysis work in a more focused manner suitable to the context. The perspectives help interpret and understand the knowledge areas and tasks in the BABOK Guide from the lens in which one is currently looking. Each perspective follows a common structure in the BABOK Guide. Every perspective is explained using a change scope, the business analysis scope, methodologies, approaches, and techniques, underlying competencies, and impact on knowledge areas. That concludes the overview, summary, and structure of the contents of the BABOK Guide. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section and I will try to answer as much as possible. In the next video, we will talk about what is business analysis, the purpose of business analysis, and some of the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst. Thank you.